everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex, and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Kirby Monday, so we're taking a look at Mr. Miracle, issue number 3, cover dated August 1971, the next installment in the Fourth World Saga. This is a really fun issue. I feel like in around issues 3 and 4 of all these Fourth World books, New Gods, Forever People, Kirby really starts to pick up his stride, and this is a pretty fun issue overall, artistically and story-wise as well. Starting with the cover, I don't know if this is on purpose or not, if this is some sort of printing error, or if it was a conscious decision to have Mr. Miracle just be fully white, like the white of the paper. Design-wise, I think it works really well. It makes him stand out, obviously, great contrast, and it's different. And even without the color or Mr. Miracle's colors, I think it works really well, and I kind of like it. It's kind of different, right? And we've got this bold yellow that they've been using the last issue of Jimmy Olsen, this one as well. I don't know if that's a thing, but it definitely works on this one, probably more so than on the Jimmy Olsen cover with Goody Rickles. I love all the hyperbole on the cover, right? And I haven't really been doing this, but I think I need to be more consistent, and every time I'm looking at these Fourth World books, I got to read the hyperbole and the bombast and all the typescript on the cover. There's a lot of it, right? Very Kirby, I guess, and he's kind of still, doing that Marvel thing from the 60s, which maybe he picked up from Stan Lee a bit, or at least he probably feels it helps with sales. So, but that was something about comics back in the day that from the 70s and kind of in the 80s started going away, right? And I say from the 70s, it was going on in the 60s, the 50s, the 40s, but that kind of stuff just went away. And now when people do it on their, independent books and stuff, it just feels old-timey, but in a cool way. I like it. So it's a simple trap, a 50-story building with doors, windows, exits, and people. Can he leave it alive? Dr. Bedlam tests Mr. Miracle, super escape artist. Between him and escape are 5,000 raving maniacs. Buy it, but don't swallow it. The paranoid pill. So I've talked about how sometimes on earlier issues, maybe there's a bit of editorial snafus and stuff, but some of the text didn't really relate to what was going on in the issue specifically. This one does, actually. So maybe they waited till the end of the story being written and drawn to go into this kind of stuff. But everything here does relate. We're gonna meet Dr. Bedlam for the first time, kind of. And this whole concept of the paranoid pill is pretty interesting and fun. Just wanted to say, Kirby chose Mr. Miracle to be an escape artist, or a super escape artist. I have to wonder how far that concept can actually bring you. I guess in comics, there's a lot of situations like that where you get locked up and, death traps and all that. So I guess it works, right? But, when that's all you kind of have and you kind of almost have to do one every issue, it can get complicated, right, a title like this. So I guess as we go along, I'll be paying attention to that and seeing, how Kirby gets around that trope that I guess you kind of have to do almost every issue. Anyways, great cover. Let's have a look inside. Right, so right away, I'm going to get the Vince Coletta comment out of the way. Serviceable art, but I can't wait for Mike Royer to show up and just bring the stuff right into the future, right? Kirby's pushing towards the future with his art on this, and Coletta's kind of holding him back there in just 1970-71. When Royer jumps in, we're taking a huge jump forward. Anyways, in my opinion. The boom tube, right, the visualization of it, these tubes that kind of come out of just power emanations is definitely an interesting concept. Kirby, I think, is probably the first to introduce something like that. Now it's used everywhere, right? In all the Marvel movies and Infinity War, etc. It's basically the first time, I think, in comics that definitely not teleportation, the concept itself, but the visual representation like this. And I'll connect this to one of my earliest comic book memories, which was Mr. Miracle #1 from the 80s series. There was a series there, and the artist is great on that. But encountering all these Kirby isms and things without having the prior knowledge and seeing this stuff from the 70s, right, when I was a kid in the 80s, all of it was so weird to me. The fact that people came out of tubes, I was just like, what? Who came up with that? Like, it just blew my mind. And these automatons that we see here and their face design and stuff, just I felt kind of scared, and they kind of creeped me out and stuff. And I didn't know those were Kirby concepts. It was another artist interpreting them and doing a pretty good job. But yeah, seeing this issue here really reminded me this Mr. Miracle from the 80s really relates to this storyline here and a lot of the concept. Excuse me. Dr. Bedlam, the character who's introduced, the automatons, the boom tubes were there, right? So it was just also weird and slightly off-putting, but in a weird kind of, I don't know, off kind of way, right? And this character here, Dr. Bedlam, you know, as he uses one of the automatons to kind of, I guess, manifest himself through it. And then we get, you know, a look at his insane, you know, face design and facial hair, just the wackiest, craziest kind of thing you could think of. And I guess you wouldn't think of. And that's why I like Jack Kirby designs. It's like, where did he get this from? What's the idea behind this, right? But a very distinct face for sure. Sometimes I wonder if there's, you know, it's in the 70s, there's some sort of Asian influence on him. You know, am I just seeing that wrong, or is that just me? Anyways, this whole sequence with the automatons is just such a weird world that Kirby creates that I really love. You know, in some instances, it's a little more kind of mainstream, as it feels with the hero and Mr. Miracle. But when it's all this kind of stuff, Dr. Bedlam and boom tubes and characters with no faces, just I love all that stuff. Great splash page here, and once again, just like pretty much every issue starts off with Mr. Miracle in a death trap. Again, Coletta's doing a pretty good job here. I don't hate it. It's serviceable, right? It works. Great dynamic shot there. Those little things he does like that, you know, just extra bit of crop on the fingers, where sometimes, you know, a lot of artists, I remember Bart Sears in Brutes and Babes and Wizard magazine when I was a kid. It was one of those few places you could learn about comic book drawing, and he would say, you know, you don't want to cut off things at, you know, the hand or the wrist or the knee and stuff. I guess this doesn't actually count, but it is a joint in the finger. But something about it in moments like these, it works because it's propelling the character forward even more. He's being propelled so far forward that he's going out of like your field of vision, right? That's kind of what your brain's subconsciously registering. Oberon, just he's like a crowned watcher, right, with his crown hair. So there's an interesting sequence here, and I really want to point it out because, you know, not that I know, but I'm pretty sure Jack Kirby was not in any way a partaker in psychedelics in any way. Oh, look at these pages too. Like, it almost adds to the kind of psychedelic effect. The fact that the pages were offset a bit when they were printing it. You see that? Just a little bit. Not on purpose, but like I said, this moment is basically Mr. Miracle using Mother Box to kind of go into a trance or some sort of hallucinatory psychedelic session here with Oberon. So again, just interesting to see that in a comic book. You know, I guess by the late 60s, early 70s, people knew about psychedelics. So, you know, Kirby not wanting, obviously, to promote drug use, maybe this was his way of working those kind of concepts into this. And, you know, these are characters from New Genesis and New Gods and all that. So, you know, they could be excused for doing things that maybe humans morally weren't supposed to do back in the 70s with all these psychedelic drugs. Oh, interesting here, detail that there's no actual line here. It's like the color separates the top part of the costume, the red part from the yellow part. So Kirby might have just literally forgotten to draw those lines here on the top part of Miracle Man's costume, and the colorist caught it. And it's kind of fun, right? It's kind of different. It's not something you would see a lot of in pen and ink comics of the day. Love Oberon's expression here as he's seeing, you know, what they describe as the beasties of the night, the terrors that have always lived with men, right? So I guess, I don't know, your fears and your insecurities and stuff. Some great Kirby monster faces in there. And there's a slightly different treatment printing-wise on this, or maybe it's just the color choice. But yeah, it's pretty cool. And to have these guys here in kind of blue monochrome really works in this panel. And again, all the doing in Mother Box, the New Gods equivalent of the cell phone. What a great illustration here, right? With just being wrapped by demons and weird creatures, and, you know, not even quite sure what body part that is, but yeah, just Kirby really ripping it and, you know, doing some great stuff, some pushing the boundaries kind of stuff, I think. Stuff no other people, no other artists were doing at that point. Something like this. Just great. Oberon's frozen. Mr. Miracle's on fire, kind of going through like the kind of stuff, the tropes of psychedelia. Yeah. Being somewhat of a psychonaut myself, I really appreciated this sequence here. It was really fun. And then Mr. Miracle flies off to confront Dr. Bedlam. And then there was just this weird little thing down here. I have no idea what this is. My guess is it's referring to another series that DC Comics are about to release soon. But to put an ad like that, so out of context in a comic, is just really annoying. Beginning in June, you will see the daring, the different, and the new. Daring what, different what, and new what. No idea. And no other reference to other stuff, so who knows. So yeah, again, Mr. Miracle confronting Dr. Bedlam, and to Dr. Bedlam basically suggesting a game to him in a way. If you want to defeat me, you have to get through this whole tower here all the way to the bottom. What a great Kirby building too, right? Always, kind of 1 foot in reality and suggesting, very suggestive New York City, but 1 foot in the future in its design. Just great. This whole issue, I think he's really, really doing some awesome stuff and some awesome drawing and some great storytelling all the way throughout. The panel within a panel here, right? And yeah, so what Dr. Bedlam is also saying, though, is that he's dropped what he calls the paranoid pill into the air ducts, right? So basically now every human being in the building is going to be like stark raving mad. And obviously they're going to be trying to stop Mr. Miracle from escaping from the tower, right? And getting to the bottom floor of the lobby. And I thought this was cool too, because some great shadows here, just a bit ruined in the inking, a bit splotchy. But the sense he's trying to get across and the menace and stuff really works, I think. Love this kind of back 3/4 angle on Dr. Bedlam. Very Kirby, the big wide open mouth, the square teeth. And yeah, so Mr. Miracle kicks him, and just to reveal that, Dr. Bedlam kind of manifested into the automaton. Now he's manifested out. So he's, his animate is what they're called. So yeah, not defeated anyway, really. So we start to see some of the effects of the paranoid pill, right? You lie, you ruined my typing. That's pretty funny. Something no one would complain about today. No one uses typewriters anymore. She thinks UFOs have landed. Someone here wants to kill me. So yeah, everyone going nuts. And of course, Mr. Miracle is going to try and escape through the window, but he cannot. What does it say? Cosmic current is the reason. So he just can't get through it. The building is sealed, as he says. And of course, we got some human crazies jumping in here. I knew there was a foreign spy in here. So that's, I guess, what Miracle Man's look evokes to them. Guess he's weird and different. And boom, the action is kicked off, and we get a cool, awesome, great shot of Mr. Miracle. I talked about Black Eraser in New Gods, right? And the fact that he's on skis and it's kind of not Kirby's best idea. This is loads cooler, I think, the aero discs they're called, than what he's done with the skis, right? So this would almost, to me, be as cool or close to kind of how the Silver Surfer gets around, that visual language that Kirby's using with the Silver Surfer that he can now transplant to Mr. Miracle, and that he tried with the Black Racer, but doesn't work quite as well. And what's cool about the Aerodisc too, he does it here in this panel where he can move around and use them in many different configurations and positions. So here he says this position allows me to fly close to the ceiling, right? Because it's a tight squeeze, but I'll get by. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, of course, that's so awesome. Makes total sense, right? That he could do that. Very cool. So gets to the elevator. Unfortunately, there's a baddie there, or a paranoidy, whatever you want to call him. Someone affected by the paranoid pill. We got some more great Kirby panels here. Big mouthed, raving lunatic faces, right? Those are the expressions Kirby does best. I love the treatment here of the foreground characters and the kind of the blue shade monochrome. Some background characters, each of them in different positions doing different things, right? So moving Mr. Miracle along, of course. Got to have some sort of death trap once again, something for him to escape from. So boom, throw him into this, what do you call that, a luggage box or a treasure chest, I guess. One of those boxes that are much more common in the 1970s, I'm assuming, and that, everyone probably has an old one lying around somewhere in their basement, probably from the 70s. Some chains, some wiring, all the tropes of entrapment and death traps. So... it's one of those situations where how is he going to get out of this one, right? I love this too. Again, using this blue monochrome anytime things get dark kind of harkens back to those Quasar issues where I hated the coloring, but in those scenes where there was a lot of shadow and it was in darkness, using a similar, it was a bit darker in this one. I think this one works a little bit better contrast wise, but just there's something about it that I like the way it evokes darkness, for lack of better words and terms for that. People stabbing through, trying to get to Mr. Miracle. And here they are throwing the luggage suitcase overboard in the center of the tower here, which is a cool shot right there for sure. And off he goes. And I don't know if this is the first two-parter or continuation, but this is the first clear two-parter, I would say, that you definitely want to read next issue right away, find out what happens, right? And this is funny because next issue on sale on or about July 13th. So I guess July 13th is when it shipped out, but not everyone would get it that day, right? Obviously, it was probably shipped out from the East Coast, so you know, California probably got them the next day or something. All right, anything more of interest? Oh, this ad here. This never came out, or at least I don't think it did, but this was something DC had kind of promised Kirby while he was working on the new Gods, Fourth World Saga, all that stuff, that he would be able to do a bigger format, kind of magazine format book, and this was it here, or one of them anyways. The Roaring 30s come alive in the days of the mob. The newest Kirby blockbuster, a different magazine is born. Authentic illustrated stories, special humor of period by the famous Sergio Aragonis. Interesting, never saw any of that. New size, new shape, new printing, unusual photo stories, free giant authentic John Dillinger wanted poster. Look for it on your newsstand. Like I said, I don't think it ever came out. And if you want to see some of that stuff, you can go through Tomorrow Publishing, because I've got in the Days of the Mob stories that he did. I believe they're in pencil form, they're not, or partially inked. Anyways, I've got the book here somewhere. I'll probably look at it at some point. If I'm not mistaken, it's combined with some romance stories, or am I mixing that up with the that other kid gang book, Dingbats of Danger Street. Anyways, I got a lot of that stuff, so I'll be getting to it at some point and reviewing it, and I'll talk more in detail about that stuff at that point. So there you go, guys. That is today's review of Mr. Miracle issue number 3. If you're still watching and you're still interested and you're still enjoying the videos, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you are subscribed as well, I appreciate the loyalty. Thank you very much. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below, because it's really easy and quick for you. Really helps the channel out and helps us grow, helps get us out there to other people who are into comic books just like we are. Hopefully people who will be interested in the type of reviews that I provide here. So thank you everyone out there, and have an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby Volume 1, issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like! Subscribe! Like! Subscribe!